Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Treasury of Constantinople. This week we'll talk about Hadrian's travel series. The video has 3 parts. First, a short biography of Hadrian. Then we'll have a look at where Hadrian traveled and finally see the coins in the series. If you want to skip to the part about the coins, you can use the timestamps in the description. Hadrian came from an Italian aristocratic family settled in Roman Hispania. His father was a senator and notably a cousin of the future emperor Trajan. Hadrian's parents died when he was only 10 years old, and Trajan brought him to Rome to continue his education. When he was around 20 years old, he joined the Roman army. A few years later, Emperor Nerva, who didn't have any children, or a wife for that matter, adopted Trajan as his son. The reason for choosing Trajan in particular was that Nerva was hopelessly unpopular with the army, to the point that in October of 97, the Praetorian Guard revolted. In order to appease them, he chose Trajan, a patrician who was a distinguished general and held consular rank, as his successor. The following year, Nerva died and Trajan became emperor. Trajan had the good fortune of being a soldier emperor at the time Rome was incredibly powerful. He dedicated his life to expanding the borders of the empire, and indeed, it was during his reign that the Roman Empire reached its maximum territorial extent. 2 years into his reign, Hadrian married Vibia Sabina, Trajan's niece. Hadrian remained the emperor's protege throughout his long reign, holding different political and military offices over the years. Trajan, though married, never had any children, and so, when he was on his deathbed, he officially adopted Hadrian as his son and successor. Hadrian would go on to rule the empire for almost 21 years, between August 117 and July 138. Unlike Trajan, he didn't have any warring inclinations, and so quickly abandoned his predecessor's expansionist policies in favor of creating defensible borders and unifying the empire. To this end, he spent most of his reign traveling to the different corners of the empire, only stopping in 134, probably due to his failing health. He died 4 years later at the age of 62. Hadrian's travels can be grouped into 3 major journeys. The first was between the years 117 and 118, when he was informed of Trajan's death, his adoption, and acclamation as new emperor. At the time Hadrian was in Syria suppressing a Jewish revolt, he didn't take the first boat to Rome, but instead finished what he had to do, then went by land, passing through Cilicia, Galatia, and Bithynia, then crossing the Bosphorus into Thracia, and quelling disturbances along the Danube in the provinces of Moesia, Dalmatia, and Pannonia. Finally, crossing into Italy proper and making a stop in Ravenna before arriving in Rome. The second journey happened between the years 121 and 125. This time he covered most of the Western Empire before visiting Asia Minor and Greece. The trip started in 121 with Hadrian taking a boat to Massalia. He then headed north, stopping in Lugdunum and reaching Mogontiacum, modern-day Mainz, around the end of the year. He traveled along the Danube border, visiting the provinces of Rhaetia and Noricum, then returning along the same route until reaching Colonia Agrippina, modern-day Cologne. Hadrian then crossed the Channel for a quick visit of Britannia, leaving before the end of the year, and quickly crossed Gallia, destination Hispania. His stay in Hispania was also short. He visited only 2 cities, Tarraco, modern-day Tarragona, and Castra Legionis, modern-day Leon, before taking a boat to Antioch. He then headed north, crossing Cappadocia, and reaching the city of Trapezes on the coast of the Black Sea. Hadrian then took a boat to Nicomedia in the province of Bithynia, crossed the Bosphorus into Hadrianopolis, renamed after him, then crossed the Sea of Marmara back into Asia Minor and traveled by land along the coast, visiting Ilium, Pergamon, Smyrna, and Ephesus, before taking a boat to Achaia in the autumn of 124. Hadrian only left Greece for Rome in the summer of the following year, making a stop in Syracuse. The third and last journey was also the longest, lasting 6 years between 128 and 134. This time he visited Sicily, the north of Africa, Greece, and Asia Minor again, then Palestine and Egypt. Hadrian left in the spring of 128 to Sicily, then Carthage in the province of Africa, and crossed by land into Mauritania, and back to Rome, arriving in the summer. Soon after, he set off to Athens, where he arrived in autumn like last time. After touring around Achaia, he went by boat to Ephesus in Asia Minor, then headed to Antioch, passing through Galatia and Cilicia. Hadrian then visited the city of Palmyra, and the provinces of Judea and Arabia, reaching Egypt before the end of August. There he stopped in Alexandria, traveling along the Nile to the city of Thebes, then back to Alexandria. The trip gets a bit confusing after this. From Alexandria, Hadrian went to Ephesus, then Achaia, then Judea, and finally back to Rome. So, there you go. 3 trips visiting dozens of cities and almost every province of the empire over a period of 17 years. I cannot imagine the logistical nightmare it was to make this happen, especially because Hadrian wasn't exactly traveling incognito, but with a huge retinue and much fanfare wherever he stopped. What we today call Hadrian's Travel Series was a series of coins commemorating Hadrian's visits to the different provinces of the empire. It includes not only the popularly collected silver coins, but also gold and bronze coins. They were all minted in Rome and towards the end of Hadrian's reign, around 130 to 133. Before we go any further, just keep in mind that this series is all over the place. There are in total 28 locations mentioned in the coins. Those are the provinces of Achaia, Egypt, Africa, Arabia, Asia, Bithynia, Britannia, Cappadocia, Cilicia, Dacia, Dalmatia, Judea, Macedonia, Noricum, Rhaetia, Sicily, Syria, and Thracia. There is also Germania, Mauritania, and Moesia, which technically include 2 provinces each, and Gallia and Hispania, technically 3 provinces each. We also have Italia, which is not a province at all, the region of Phrygia, the cities of Nicomedia and Alexandria, and the river Nile. There is a 29th named location, Pannonia, which also has 2 provinces, and isn't in the name of Hadrian but his first Caesar, Lucius Aelius. Finally, there are coins celebrating Hadrian's returns to Rome, though they don't have the name of the city. Note that while there are bronze coins commemorating all the previously mentioned places, gold and silver coins were only minted for selected locations. Note, too, that this series is missing some places Hadrian personally visited, like the senatorial province of Narbonensis, Epirus, and Galatia. I guess this is as good a time as any to tell you that this series not only has 28 locations, plus 2, and coins minted in gold, silver, and bronze, but on top of that, there are actually 4 types of designs on the reverse. However, because Hadrian does what Hadrian wants, not all the locations have all 4 reverse types, and definitely not in all 3 metals. First is the province type, depicting a personification of the province, either sitting or standing, and its name. The second type is the adventus type. It shows the emperor holding hands with the personification of the province, and the reverse legend adventui and the name of the province. Adventus was a kind of Roman ceremony held to celebrate the arrival of an emperor to the city. It was a big thing. The city would be decorated, there would be a huge public procession, then speeches, games, the works. The third type is the restitutor type, which has the emperor standing and raising up the kneeling personification of the province, together with the legend restitutori plus the name of the province. This is a reference to Hadrian helping the provinces with building projects, cancellation of debts, etc. The fourth and last type is the exercitus type. It portrays the emperor either on horseback or a platform, and a crowd of soldiers, together with the legend exercit or exercitus and the name of the province. If you remember, one of Hadrian's goals was to secure the borders, and so he would often visit legionary camps and review the army. That's what this one is about. We'll now have a closer look at the types for each of the provinces. Starting with the gold aureus, we have coins representing Egypt, Achaia, Africa, Alexandria, Hispania, Italia, the Nile, and Rome. In the coin for Egypt, we can see Aegyptos reclining. There is a lotus on her head, and she is holding up a sistrum, which was a kind of Egyptian musical instrument. There is also an ibis standing on a column and a basket behind Aegyptos. Note that most coins in this series have design variations. Going over all of them would be too much, so just keep in mind that variations exist, and I'll be showing some of them. Here is one to give you an idea. In this type, there is no lotus on Aegyptos' head, the ibis is on the floor, and there is a serpent behind the basket. The aureus for the province of Achaia is a restitutori type. Roman Achaia included Hadrian's beloved Athens, which he visited many times. Hadrian, like Gallienus, was a Grecophile. In this coin, we can see Achaia kneeling, and between her and Hadrian there is an amphora with a palm branch inside. Palm branches and trees are usually a symbol of Judea and Phoenicia, but they also have the general connotation of victory. As for the amphora, one of Achaea's main exports was wine. Hadrian probably also liked his trip to Carthage because there are 3 types of aureus for the province of Africa. In the province type we see Africa reclining, she's wearing an elephant skin headdress, and her right hand is on the neck of a lion. Behind her is a basket, and behind the basket there are grain ears. Then the Adventist type, with Hadrian on the right and Africa on the left, still wearing an elephant skin headdress. She's holding grain ears in her left hand, and in between them there is a tripod. The small thing on the floor is a little calf. Finally, in the restitutor reverse type, we can see Hadrian this time on the right helping Africa, who is kneeling, stand up. Africa is wearing an elephant skin headdress like in the 2 previous coins, and there are 2 stalks of grain in between them. If you didn't know, Africa, along with Egypt, were major grain-producing regions, feeding most of the empire's cities well into the Justinian dynasty. The aureus celebrating Hadrian's arrival to Alexandria is very interesting because it depicts Hadrian with his wife Sabina, who often accompanied him in his travels. In front of them is not the personification of the city of Alexandria, but Serapis and Isis. Hadrian and Serapis are holding hands while Isis is holding a sistrum, and there is an altar between them. Next up is the Nile. The personification of the river, Nilus, is reclined and holding a reed in his left hand. Reeds grow along the Nile and are used to make papyrus. Nilus is resting his left arm on a sphinx. Near to the left there is a hippopotamus, and below in the water, a crocodile. The coin for Hispania is very beautiful. It shows Hispania reclining on the Pyrenees, holding up an olive branch. The Pyrenees are a mountain range that separate the Iberian Peninsula from the rest of Europe, and the region both in Roman and modern times is a major producer of olive oil. On the right you can see a little rabbit, as Hispania was known before by another name, Tarraconensis, the land of rabbits. Next we have Italia, or more precisely Adventui Augusti Italia, the welcoming ceremony of the emperor to Italy. Hadrian is standing on the right, raising his right hand, while Italia is standing on the left. Seeing the coins for Italy and Rome side by side really does show the place Rome had in the heart of the Romans. Italia is depicted like any other province, but Roma receives the emperor seated. She is wearing a helmet and in military dress, holding a spear in her left hand. A very nice way to finish our overview of the travel series gold coins. In silver, we have 10 denarii. They represent Egypt, Africa, Asia, Gallia, Germania, Hispania, Italia, Alexandria, the Nile, and Rome. The coins for Egypt and Africa are similar to their counterparts in gold. Africa here is holding a scorpion instead of petting a lion, and the grain ears are in a basket on the left, but these coins do have some variations in design as we've seen before. Asia and Alexandria break the pattern. Both are standing, with Asia stepping on the prow of a ship and holding a rudder, while Alexandria is holding a sistrum on one hand and a small basket with a serpent inside with the other. Germania and Italia are also standing. Germania is holding a spear and a shield, a reference to its location on the border and the need to protect it, while Italia is holding a scepter denoting that the center of power of the empire is in Italy, and a cornucopia, a symbol of abundance. The silver coin for Hispania is very similar to the gold one, with Hispania reclining, the olive branch, the Pyrenees, and the rabbit. Note that some variations don't have the bunny. The design of the Nile denarius reverse is also very close to the aureus. Here, Nilus is turning to the right, but again, there are quite a lot of variations for both the gold and silver Nile coins, some even without any legend. The elements tend to be the same, though the hippo, the reeds, the cornucopia, and the crocodile. The Gallia denarius is a restitutory type, so we have Hadrian on the left, holding a scroll, and Gallia kneeling on the right. Finally, we have an Adventus Augusti type, with Roma on the left holding a spear, and Hadrian on the right. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there are sestertius for each and every one of the 30 locations from the travel series, but not all 4 types for each of them. This series also includes Duponius and ASS coins, with the same or very similar designs to the sestertius. I tried my best to get pictures of as many types as possible, but unfortunately some of the bronze coins are extremely rare, and I wasn't able to find pictures of them. Also, I didn't find a comprehensive list of all of Hadrian's travel series coins anywhere online, so I had to go over catalogs that had all of Hadrian's coins and fish out the ones from the travel series. This means that I might have missed some, and that if the catalogs missed some, then I missed them too. So, let's go more or less in alphabetical order over all the Bronze Travel Series coins. Egypt only has the province type, and it looks very similar to the bronze and gold ones. Achaia has a restitutory type, just like the gold aureus, with the amphora and the palm branch. Africa has 3 types, exactly like the gold aureus. She is wearing likewise the familiar elephant skin headdress. The grain ears are also a common feature. Note how, on the adventus type, Africa is holding a labarum that is different. Here we have our first exercitus type. Unfortunately, I really couldn't find a picture of it. The adventus type is similar to the one in the gold coin with Hadrian and Sabina, Serapis and Isis. The province type is new though, as the aureus only comes in the adventus type, and in the denarius Alexandria is standing. Here she is reclining, holding corn ears in her right hand, and her left arm is resting on a basket of fruit. There are more corn ears growing to left, and a vine branch behind her. Arabia is a new province for us. It has 2 types, adventus and restitutory. In the restitutoria, there is a camel between Hadrian and Arabia, a reference to trade routes, while the adventus type has a bull. In both, Arabia is holding some sticks, probably cinnamon sticks, that don't exactly grow there but presumably arrive in the empire by trade routes that pass through Arabia. Asia also has 2 types. I'm not sure what's with the turreted crown and the scepter. If anyone has an explanation, I'm very curious. The adventus type has a small bull at the base, common sacrificial animal. Britannia too has 2 types, the more or less common province type and the very rare exercitus type. Britannia, who didn't rule the waves at the time, is seated, resting her foot on a pile of rocks, a possible reference to Hadrian's Wall, which he never personally saw the final construction of, but was definitely built by the time this series was issued. She is wearing a Birus Britannicus, a typical cloak worn in the British Isles. She is also holding a spear and a large shield. Britannia meant business, and those picks better watch out. It reminds me of the Germania Denarius, where Germania is also quite fierce-looking. Next we have Bithynia, which is located on the coast of the Black Sea. She's depicted here holding a rudder and resting her foot on a prow. Cappadocia has 2 types. In the province type, we can see her wearing very characteristic clothes and shoes. Cappadocia is holding a vexillum on her left hand, probably a reference to the legions permanently stationed there, the 12th Fulminata and 15th Apollinaris. On her right hand she is holding Mount Argaeus, a very, very common element in Roman coins from Cappadocia. Cilicia has a single type which unfortunately I wasn't able to get a hold of. Next up is Dacia, with the first picture I have of the exercitus type. The Dacian exercitus type is actually one of the most common, and you can see here the 2 variations I mentioned, one with the emperor on a horse and the other standing on a platform. The province type shows Dacia sitting on a pile of rocks, which I assume must be the Carpathian Mountains or perhaps the Dacian fortresses of the Oresti Mountains conquered by Trajan. Dacia is also holding a standard and sickle. This region was extremely fertile, and it quickly became one of the major producers of wheat in the empire. This one is pretty rare too. Sorry about that. For Gallia, there is only a restitutory type, which looks the same as the denarius. Germania, like Dalmatia, Rhaetia, and Syria, only has the exercitus type. Here you can see 2 variations, and I kid you not, if you squint, the soldiers from Germania and Dacia look different. Hispania is the only place that has all 4 types. We often associate coins with emperors, but it was the mint officials who did most of the decision-making in the design of coins. At the same time, the designs were chosen in part to pander to the emperor, so here it's not so much that Hadrian was from Hispania, and therefore wanted more coins commemorating his birthplace, but that the mint officials, knowing Hadrian was born in Hispania, made more coins celebrating that place, hoping to please the emperor. You can see the olive branch in all types. The rabbit, though, is only present in some variations, very rarely on the adventus type. Italia has 2 types. She's just holding a cornucopia, nothing special. There are quite a few Adventus Augusti variations, but they go along the normal lines we've seen before. Judea has a single Adventus type. It shows her holding a patera and an incense box. She is surrounded by 3 children holding palm branches, with the usual bull at the base of the altar. Very unique coin. Next we have Macedonia, which has very distinctive types. In both, Macedonia is wearing a causia, which is a Macedonian hat, and holding a whip. The clothes are also clearly different from the ones in other coins. We continue with interesting coins now from Mauritania. First, the province type shows Mauritania in front of a horse, holding a javelin. Then the only Adventist type where the bull actually looks like a bull, and note that Mauritania is holding a vexillum, which is probably a reference to the 3rd Augustan legion which was stationed in the fortress of Lambaesis, established by Hadrian himself. Then we have Moesia, Nicomedia, Noricum, Phrygia, and Thracia, none of which I have pictures of. However, according to descriptions, Moesia is depicted holding a bow and quiver. Nicomedia is wearing a turreted crown and holding a rudder. Noricum is holding a vexillum, which makes sense because of its location on the border. Phrygia is wearing a Phrygian cap and holding a pedum. And finally, Thracia. I'm not sure. The description says she is wearing a Triskel's headdress, but the only picture I could find, which is from the collection of the British Museum, doesn't show that, so it's a mystery. We now get to the familiar Nihilist coin, which has the hippo, the reeds, the cornucopia, and the hiding crocodile. Raetia only has the Exercitus type, but there are design variations. Syria, too, only has the Exercitus type. Sicily's coins are very peculiar. This is called a Triskeles. It is a figure of 3 legs arranged in rotational symmetry. The Triskeles of Sicily usually has a gorgonean in the middle with wings and wheat ears. Here we have Cecilia wearing a Triskeles headdress and holding wheat ears. I couldn't find pictures for the province and Adventist types, but I read the reverse descriptions, and they too have Cecilia wearing a Triskeles headdress and holding wheat ears. And finally, at long last, Aelius's Pannonia Sestertius. You can see Pannonia is holding a vexillum. The province was on the border of the Danube, and so it saw a lot of fighting. There was a total of 4 legions protecting the provinces of Pannonia Superior and Pannonia Inferior, the 10th and 14th Gemina, as well as the 1st and 2nd Adiutrix legions. And that's it for this one. I hope you liked the video. Coming up will be Heraclius's coins, and then an overview of Byzantine silver coinage, but before that, a special episode about the coins of the revolt of the Heraclii. If you collect coins, you're welcome to check our eBay store. I've started posting shorts here on YouTube showing some of the coins for sale. It's not every day, but pretty much every day. If you have any video suggestions or requests, feel free to leave a comment, as well as if you noticed any mistakes or have anything to add. Have a great day.